My favorite quote from Carl Jung is, "One does not become enlightened by imagining beings of light, but by making their darkness conscious." Well, we now know the field is the sole governing agency of the particle, so where does the darkness reside? But in the field, in the soul, as a wound, as fear, guilt, and shame. And when you have so much fear, guilt, and shame in your soul, and you're programmed by society, by your family, by everybody, by media, then that's how you calibrate your nervous system for fear, guilt, and shame, and why people get so reactive, because they're constantly triggered, thinking that, throwing them into fight or flight. Carl Jung, I think he was criticizing Jesus as the being of light. Like, if we have an external authority, then we're going to put everything on him. He died for our sins. Go to Jesus for forgiveness. But that doesn't change the constitution of our consciousness, of our soul. And that's why early Christians, like the Gospel of Mary, Gospel of Thomas, all spoke of inner authority. In order to expand our emotional range, become more mature, grow and learn from our challenges, we have to take personal accountability. Where does this come from? Well, if it's an external source, I'm not responsible. Also, if it's an external source, then I'm the victim, right? Just like Dr. Bruce Lipton said. But this commentator does a great job at explaining the liberal mindset, and she gets into Gaza. And my married name was Buzaglo. My ex-husband is Israeli. And my niece was at the music festival that she talks about, and about 10 of her friends were killed in front of her. This is personal to me. Let me back her up. And I mean, you saw them double down, that they went gung-ho in support of the Gazans, even though they killed so many Israelis. And then after there was a peace plan, and there was immediate video evidence of Hamas executing people in the Gaza Strip, you didn't see any protests against that. The protest just kind of stopped, right? It was like after a little while after that, they just kind of stopped, but you didn't hear them come out and like speak a different worldview. But this kind of either or, one or the other logic is very childish, immature way of thinking, because we all know humans, we make mistakes, right? But if God is perfect and we're sovereign under God, like he's always in control, then how does that perception of self, of like, well, I have to be perfect too, and I can't be wrong, and I can't admit fault because I'm following God, leaves no space for personal accountability. And we don't take personal accountability, then we live in our fear, guilt, and shame. We repress our emotional pain, and then we just keep projecting it onto others and being totally reactive, like we see modern women are today. And this is the problem. They have not been trained, based on the Christian worldview, how to take personal accountability. Let's listen to the rest of this video. I mean, they use this word genocide, but they haven't done their research. Modern warfare typically kills 9 civilians to 1 military person, and in Gaza, that ratio is about 3 civilians to 1 military person. So it's far better. And they're not yelling and screaming about things that are happening in other places, right? Why is everyone upset with Israel? Christianity came from there. Judaism came from there. America's talking about, Judeo-Christian values. Women are intuitive, right? Few things to think about. They are bad. They're not following, the God in the cult. Christianity is a cult too. Well, our God says that we take over this land, even though Native Americans and buffalo are here, and we're justified in killing 60 million buffalo and like 80 to 90% of the Native American population, because that's God's will. God's will is a very powerful statement that controls millions of people historically. God's will. So God, like the Islam God, his will, the Christian God, the Jewish God, other gods, another place. Which God,